successful engineering portfolios without resorting to panic mode. I'm Xavier Bading. I'm going to be a sophomore this year. I'm with the Shellbox, and I do outreach and media.
My name's Zion Bird. I'm also going to be a sophomore and also on the Shellbot, and I am a designer and builder. So we are a fifth-year team. Some awards we got this previous year were first place Inspire at League Championship, first place Design at Super Qualifier, and then third place Think at State.
I'm Emily Claire Lorenzen. I'm heading into my sophomore year, and I am a programmer for the Wave Droids.
I'm Trevor Derringer. I'm going to be a senior this next year, and I'm head of building and design for the Wave Droids.
The Wave Droids Team 13206 is heading into our 6th year of competition. This past season, we won the 3rd place Inspire Award at the League Championship and the 1st place Connect Award at our League Championship and Super Qualifier. Additionally, both of our teams this past season were state championship qualifiers. Today, we would like to share with you some tips that we've learned about how to create a successful engineering portfolio. And our main points today will be deciding a direction, assembling your portfolio, and actually talking to people. If you don't know where you're going to get lost. And that's why the first step in the portfolio creation process is deciding a direction. This will become the compass for the rest of your season.
Some early steps you can take as a team is to meet together. You'll want to read the award description so that way you can choose a specific focus on a certain area. And you also want to determine why you want to focus there. Your team can also utilize veteran members because their experience is worth a lot. They should not be doing everything. Your beginner members should still be doing a lot. And if you do not have very much experience on your team, you can communicate with other teams. Teams you know could communicate with one of us to try and get some help on your portfolio.
Following those early steps, the students must then choose an area to focus on, typically corresponding to an award. They should choose whichever award or awards that they best meet the criteria for, and should show how they meet it in their portfolio. Likewise, they should ensure that they comply with everything specified within the game manual. They also need to delegate the limited 15 pages of the portfolio to whatever they need to put emphasis on. For example, if they're intending on getting the design award, they should have plenty of photos and sketches and CAD drawings of the robot. If they're intending on getting the Connect award, they should put emphasis on the outreach efforts they've made that year. In short, they should show what they want to show to the judges through their portfolio. As an example, we went for the Connect award this past year, and we have pictured the connections page of our portfolio, detailing every single connection we made this past year.
Gracious professionalism is the most important thing for your students, and it's the foundation that all of FIRST has been built on. Make sure that your students are working together to produce a portfolio and doing it professionally. The best teams are going to work together on their portfolios rather than working alone, so encourage your students to work together and cooperate.
As well as the criteria, every award generally has language and other components that will lead to the judges being more likely to nominate your team for that award. For the Think Award, particular emphasis should be put on how math and science tied into your efforts that season, and on your engineering and design process as expected. For the Connect Award, they will want to see outreach, professionals your team have contacted, and how the team have worked with their mentors. For the Innovate Award, the judges want to see emphasis on the creativity of the team's robot and their overall design solution for that year's game. With the Motivate Award, judges expect to see clearly outlined goals, various individual contributions to the team effort, and to see the team's unique personal identity. Finally, for the Design Award, emphasis should be put on sketches and CAD drawings made of the robot during the design process.
Once you have picked a direction to head in, it is time to start assembling your portfolio, which is designed to show off your strengths, highlights, and achievements from the season. Now, the easiest way to create a bad portfolio is to do it at the very last minute. So in order to create a successful portfolio, it's important for your students to plan and use their time wisely, so they have plenty of margin to work on polishing the final product instead of cramming whatever information they can find into text boxes the night before. The one hard, fast deadline that you need to keep in mind is when it has to be done, which is the league championship. That will not change. And this is something you can regularly remind your students of if they need a little fire under them to get going. However, towards the middle of the season, when that date seems really far away and not all that important, it may be necessary for you to set up your own progress checkpoints so that students have shorter-term goals that seem more achievable. Getting this work done really helps to do it within regularly scheduled meeting times, which you can pretty easily incorporate into your existing robotics practices. You can also encourage independent work outside of practices. For example, this past season, during one of the practices, our programming sub-team sat down and wrote out a bunch of information about how we use the engineering design process in our team that year. After the practice, I went home and spent about 30 minutes reformatting it so that it fit with the rest of the portfolio.
An effective way to get your portfolio done is to divide and conquer. You want everyone contributing to the portfolio because it's important for people to learn how to actually do it for future years, and more people means more things get done. You will want to meet as sub-teams and assign jobs to knowledgeable members. You don't want people who are mainly outreach talking about how they designed and built the robot because they don't know about that stuff. You want outreach people talking about how they did outreach. You'll also want a small group that focuses on the formatting and setup for a consistent layout so that way it looks good throughout the whole thing.
It is also vital that your team members remain cooperative throughout this whole process. It's important that group meetings with all available members are held regularly to update one another on how their particular part of the portfolio is progressing. Throughout the season, communication between team members and subgroups is key to ensure that what needs to be accomplished is accomplished, so that different sub-teams do not run into time constraints. For example, the building and programming teams will often need to share the robot throughout the season, so both sub-teams must communicate in order to complete their respective tasks on time.
Additionally, it is important for members within subgroups to have good communication so that the members know what everyone else is doing so that they are making good progress towards their project of the team and also their work in the portfolio. One of your roles as a coach is to work to prevent and address infighting and bitterness. This past season, the Wave Droids had a bit of a problem with that. We had a few very opinionated members, and through some miscommunication and misunderstandings, we had a rift form in the team that made getting the portfolio done very difficult. It did eventually get done, but there was definitely a better way to do it, and we have learned from this experience for the next season.
Goals, goals, goals. It's very generic advice, but goals do the work. Set goals early. Have your team set goals very early in the season and make sure that they're constantly recording their progress towards these goals. Your team should also be detailing their progress in the portfolio so the judges can see the work that went towards these goals. Make sure to keep your students on track for their goals as well. You don't need somebody going off and doing something else they don't need to do when they could be working towards something. Now, this goal advice, it's very generic, but it looks great. As you can see on the portfolio page from the Wave Droids portfolio this year, it has these different goals down here that say they want to connect with at least 10 STEM professionals and help at least 5 of those professionals learn about gracious professionalism. And they have progress showing their methods and the takeaways they got, as well as up here having a little progress bar and having pictures so that the judges can see all this goal progress that they've had. Additionally, you need to make your team needs to make themselves clear. Be sure that their portfolio is illustrating that everything that they want the judges to know or pay attention to. If the judges can't find something in your team's portfolio, they might ignore it or assume something, and that's a problem. Your team needs to be using numbers and timelines to explain the specifics. So look at this, for example, the connection side of the Shellbox portfolio has all of our different connections for professionals, and it tells us about the knowledge that we gained from them. So all of these different things, it's super easy to lay out for the judges. The judges can look and they can see everything. And the same is true with this slide for the Motivate Award. Down here it has our total outreach hours and people reached estimated, and then we also have all of our goals and challenges. It's showing how all of our goals kind of came to fruition. It's very important to be clear in the portfolio.
A key component to making a good portfolio is making it look good. Having a visually appealing and easily readable portfolio will make judges take notice. There are 3 pretty common free software programs that work pretty well for creating a portfolio. And these are Microsoft PowerPoint, Google Slides, and Canva. Which of these would work best for your team or potentially a different program depends on how you already organize information. For example, both of our teams already use Google Drive to organize most of our documents, so using Google Slides was a logical choice for us. No matter what software you use, you need to be maintaining graphic consistency throughout the entire portfolio. This includes things such as logos, color schemes, fonts, font sizes, image borders, and more. At the beginning of the season, one of our members compiled a style guide for the Wave Droids with our official fonts and colors, and we reference this a lot, especially during our creation of the portfolio. Fun fact, the hex code of our official Wave Droids blue is our team number plus an additional 0 at the end. It will very much help both your team to get the portfolio done and your judges to understand if your information is organized in a logical way. And in this area, bullet points and tables will be your best friends. As you can see on this page, it contrasts from what would be just a big block of text and tables here at the bottom. We also have several pictures on this page which definitely stand out. You should be taking a lot of pictures throughout the season, even if it's just of mundane things like practices. Trust me, we use them a lot. You have 15 pages, not including the title page, that you can use in your portfolio, and you should use all of them, but not more than 15, because that gets a little hairy after that. It can also be very useful to add page numbers in the corners for easy reference. If you have done a good job of planning your time wisely, you should have plenty of time to proofread your portfolio thoroughly and often. Your goal should be to get as many pairs of eyes on it as possible.
In your portfolio, you want to focus on your desired award. So the shell box went for the Think Award this year. So we had 2 full pages detailing all the stuff we did to display the Think Award. We really put a lot of emphasis on this because we want the judges to notice how we have you demonstrated the Think Award throughout the whole entire year, so we can hopefully get it.
Every team that participates in First Check Challenge is unique, and so it's important that you show off your uniqueness with a bio page for your members. Each of your students should be writing a few sentences about themselves and include a picture for your portfolio. That way judges can reference and make connections. Usually you want to put this on a bio page since there's not really another good place to put it. You should be listing you should have your students list only their first names, their grades, their role on the team, and why they do robotics. If possible, have each student have a photo taken in front of the same backdrop to maintain consistency between individual team photos, as you can see here.
Another important part of the portfolio from a robot perspective is summarizing the engineering process. Here we have 2 pages from last year's portfolio, the first of which is a developmental timeline. It summarizes the robot's development throughout the season by breaking it down into different months, with relevant photos and information attached for each month. A timeline like this is a good way to sum up the season from a building and design perspective in a fairly concise way. We also have the page detailing our problem-solving developmental process, all the way from defining the problem we have to solve to actually producing the robot. We've decided to put particular emphasis on our robot's arm, as we decided that it was the most notable element of our design. This is how we chose to summarize our process this year, but your students will have to decide how to format this section of their portfolio and what information is most important themselves.
We've just given you a lot of information, and it's okay if you didn't quite get all of it, but we want to finish off this section with some strategies that have worked for our teams for how to get this massive project done on time. And we have mentioned a lot of these before earlier in the presentation, but it's good to go over them again. We designate a few people to oversee the whole project in order to maintain that graphic consistency throughout the entire portfolio, and to have people who are just knowledgeable about all the goings-ons of the portfolio. Working in small groups for accountability, such as in sub-teams where members can combine their information, that can be helpful, but just keep an eye on if the small group is starting to spiral into some shenanigans to get out of doing work, because that can be a problem. As we mentioned before, it can help to set regular progress check-ins so that students have shorter-term goals that seem more achievable. Everyone should be able to access the portfolio, so using a shared document is critical. From our experience, we have learned that the members of the team who are the worst procrastinators on doing the portfolio are the technical people, aka the builders, designers, and programmers. Disclaimer, I am a programmer myself. I did procrastinate a lot of my portfolio section this year. You may need to give them a little extra motivation and reminders because, to be fair, during this part of the season, they do have a lot of other stuff to do to prepare the robot for competition season, but they still need to get their portfolio section done. And if all else fails, you can do what our very lovely Leslie Potter, our former head coach, did last year and hold the robot hostage. She got all of us on a Zoom call and told us that none of us were allowed inside the robotics room until we had satisfactorily completed an hour worth of portfolio work. Let's just say a lot of work got done.
So finally, you have to actually talk to people during your presentation. So there are a few differences between the presentation and the portfolio. They should be consistent, but the presentation should be more concise. Okay, it's because you have a 5-minute time limit while you're talking in front of the judges, whereas the portfolio, you have 15 pages to elaborate on your whole season. You want to explicitly state your desired awards in your presentation, and besides the Inspire Award, everyone must speak in it, and coaches are not allowed to assist in the presentation.
After your presentation, there's a short questioning phase, and also judges might come around for your students to ask them questions about their portfolio. Some common questions judges will ask are, what award do you think you deserve? How do you demonstrate gracious professionalism? What is unique about your robot? What has been going wrong? What makes your portfolio unique? And what is something you haven't told us yet about you or your robot?
Sum everything up. You want to decide what award you want early in the season, look at the criteria specified within Game Manual 1, and then follow that criteria. The judges will be judging you based on those criteria. There's no secret winning strategy.
Thank you so much for your time today. Our social media handles and websites are listed on the slide, and copies of our portfolios are available for viewing on the front table here. And we'd be happy to have a conversation with you over lunch. What questions can we answer for you right now?